cradled at the bottom of lakes, or perched on towering spires deep under the ice floes of the north. Even nestled amongst the coral and the kelp are the Quaggans, and their villages shine like beacons in the watery depths. These amphibious creatures are immediately recognisable by their bipedal heavy-set frame. Their tails are shaped like paddles to propel them through the water, and their bodies are cocooned in blubber. This dense fat acts as an energy store in times of adversity, helps to regulate quaggan temperature, and is necessary for the quaggans to maintain proper buoyancy in the water. Quaggan bodies are coloured based on the habitat in which they live. In warmer climates, they echo the greeny-blue waters of seas, lakes and basins. In the Arctic, some have distinctive black and white patches. This breaks up their silhouette in the water and makes it harder for their prey, and their enemies, to detect them. Quaggan culture is complex, built on deeply ingrained societal rules. At its heart, Quaggan culture is one of extreme politeness. Expressions of anger or rage are frowned upon. Violence is not tolerated except in extreme circumstances. It is even a taboo to refer to themselves on an individual basis. Instead of personal pronouns, individuals elect to refer to themselves as Quaggan. This endearing way of speaking may seem odd or irritating to an outsider, but it is vital to Quaggan society. It fosters a tight-knit, community-centric way of life, built on the knowledge that each Quaggan in a village is part of a bigger community. The villages are led by the Varanos, who act in a similar capacity to a mayor. There are also past keepers, who recount traditions and maintain the village's history through storytelling. They play a part in religious procedure too, in a similar capacity to priests, upholding the conservative practice of worshipping Melagan. Melagan represents the bounty and the wealth of the ocean. Quaggans leave offerings at her shrines and pray for justice and peace. Over time, the Quaggan goddess has been conflated with the human deity Melandru. Although Quaggans maintain the two are very different, the stubbornness of scholars and the penchants of Quaggans to utilise sunken Melandru statues as idols of Melagan have muddied the waters. Ultimately, however, the Quaggan maintain a conservative worship of nature and revere the bounties bestowed upon them by their goddess. Quaggan architecture is also very distinctive. Egg-shaped pods lay clustered in the dips and gullies of oceans and lakes, or stand stacked against towering aquatic structures. Made from panels of coral bound together with seaweed, these structures are light enough to be moved and can be towed away to safer waters or better feeding grounds whenever needed. The colonies are lit by luminescent spheres, found all over the villages. Sometimes the Quaggans wrap the pearls in buoyant seaweed and cast them adrift in the waters surrounding their homes. They glitter in the water and help guards and adventurers spot predators and dangers in the depths. Some villages even cultivate a special form of algae in storage pods and coat the walls of their homes so they glow in the gloom. Many Quaggan colonies are large enough to warrant bigger pods. These structures mimic shells and consist of open space inside perfect for Quaggan gatherings. Sometimes these larger structures are used like nurseries and house Quaggan babies and caregivers. Quaggan babies are called hatchlings and grow into calves. Sometimes the Quaggan offspring are referred to as tadpoles, especially in the north. Central Tyrian Quaggan hatchlings are coloured based on their gender, and as they grow up they lose their bright colouring and become the muted greys and greens of their parents. Because of their bright colours, they are not very well camouflaged and must be watched over by vigilant adults at all times to protect them from predators. When they are first laid, Quaggan eggs are flat, but after a while they gain their spherical shape and are laid out in hatcheries and watched over by coddlers. Here in Timberline Falls, the Quaggans of Ocarino hatch their eggs in Melagan's grotto. The shallow pools are protected from the predators outside and perfect for hatchlings to play in. The ceiling is spangled with glowing pearls, and although the grotto is visited by explorers, under the watchful eyes of the coddlers, the baby Quaggans thrive. Quaggan villages support themselves by utilising the sea around them. Nowhere is this more apparent than in Frostgorge Sound. Under the thick ice down on the ocean floor, tall vents force scalding heat into the surrounding water. It forms an oasis of nutrient-rich water where plants and corals thrive. Here, the Quaggans of Orsippus harvest the coral and seaweed for food. This Quaggan haven is closely guarded by fierce fighters. Sharks and worms are no match for them here. Quaggans' ability to fight and protect their kin is aided in part by an extraordinary adaptation. When a Quaggan becomes particularly angry or stressed, their body is flushed with adrenaline. This causes changes to their appearance and gives them a burst of extraordinary strength. This transformation might be the strongest factor in why Quaggans have survived throughout the generations. Yet, to transform with this rage is still seen as a profoundly embarrassing aspect of Quaggan life. Quaggans, being peaceful by nature, actively avoid combat. Their response to the threat of the dragon and creatures like the Crate was simply to move away and set up their homes elsewhere. The problem is, now they have begun to run out of places to flee to. Some Quaggans have found peace in the shelter of the city of Lion's Arch, perhaps the safest of all Quaggan territories. But still others are not so fortunate. Many live in the shadow of potential oppressors, even under the threat of capture and slavery. But banding together in times of adversity is a distinct Quaggan trait. They stick to their scruples and traditions even when their numbers have dwindled and their communities have shrunk. Nowhere is this drive to maintain strong community bonds more apparent than in the Quaggan Games. Held in the Shiver Peaks and hosted by the Varanos of neighbouring villages, the Games bring Quaggans from far and wide to this staging ground under the ice. As fireworks light up the water around them, the Quaggan celebrates another successful game. At its heart, the Quaggan Games highlight the importance of dignity and composure to Quaggan acceptance and way of life. The Quaggans are also excellent at forming alliances with other races. Here in Bitterfrost Frontier, the Quaggan and the Codan work together to survive surrounded by the influence of Jormag. The Quaggan find shelter beneath the boughs of Sorrow's Eclipse, and what monsters the Codan keep out from above, the Quaggans of Galupa Deeps banish from below. The Codan treat the Quaggans quite unlike any other creature, and have begun to teach the more conscientious and sensible Quaggans aspects of Codan life. Their patience knows no bounds when it comes to teaching these Quaggans the ins and outs of flame-bearing. And here the Quaggans of the Dragon's Teeth Hot Springs use their mushroom neighbours in farming. The nutrient-rich bodies of dead mushrooms buried in the soil give the compounds necessary for these herbs to grow, even in the thin layer of topsoil between these mountains. In turn, the mushrooms get a well-tended habitat, free from pests and predators. Even the ice brood that patrol the frontier are kept away from this idyllic little oasis in the snow. There is no doubt that Quaggans are resourceful, tenacious, and unflinchingly steadfast in their culture and way of life. Though it's easy to mistake these creatures as being nothing more than bundles of mild manners and goodwill, Quaggans have managed to survive in some of the harshest conditions for generations. It's testament to their strong spirit that they continue to populate even the most dangerous of habitats.